One of the questions I get asked the most is, what can I do about my under eye bags or puffiness? And it's a question that I'd like to answer really fully, and I get asked by so many people I can never really reply to them properly. So I want to make a video about it, and this video is really just about the causes and the treatments and the kind of ingredients you can look for in treatments to help. Now, it's caused by different things. One of the things that can cause bags under the eyes is fat under the eyes. Now, this can be something that you genetically have from when you're very young. You see it sometimes runs in families. Or it can be something that just happens because of bad lifestyle, or just as you age, because as you age, your eyes are naturally sit in pads of fat to protect them. And there's a membrane between your eyes, obviously, and the fat. And as you get older, or if you have a very unhealthy lifestyle, that barrier can break down, the membrane can break down, and fat cells can sort of seep out and end up in this area under your eyes. So, and also it can be cholesterol under your eyes. Some people, again, are just prone genetically to have cholesterol under their eyes, or other people it is, incredibly bad lifestyle choices, smoking, drinking, not sleeping properly, drug abuse, all sorts of things that can cause the membranes to break down, the fat to really come into that area. And once it's there, it is quite hard to get rid of. There is obviously plastic surgery for very extreme cases where they'll just remove the fat from under the eyes. But that is quite an extreme choice to make. Also, if you do have a little bit of fat under your eyes, and maybe you don't notice it so much when you're younger, as you get older and your skin naturally sags, as everyone's does, that's when it can start to become pronounced, because you'll actually sort of be able to feel the fat as it sort of drops down. And again, the physiology of your face, your bone structure has a lot to do with it. If you are quite sort of, bony here, quite high up, you'll find the fat sort of sits on top and it can become quite bulgy. So there's so many different factors that will decide whether you are genetically lucky or not, in terms of certainly fat under the eyes. Another reason for puffiness under the eyes can just be your anatomical structure. So where your sinuses are situated, if you've got something like a diverted septum, and so then you'll have allergies, congestion in your sinuses, just generally congested. That tends to sit together. People that have allergies and sinus congestion also normally have puffy eyes, bags under the eyes, and it's because you're not draining properly. Your lymph isn't draining. There's a lot of general congestion in that area, and that's something that obviously you have to see your doctor about. But you may find that if you can control that problem, you're actually really helping to control the bags under your eyes, because they do sort of all sit together. Which leads me on to another big cause of puffiness or bags under the eyes, and that's fluid retention. Fluid literally sort of gathering in this area under your eyes. And we've all, I guess everyone, some people are more prone to it, again, genetically. Others just have it, either it's a hormonal thing, you have it at certain times of the month, or you can bring it on yourself with too much salt in your diet, not drinking enough water. Certainly staying hydrated really helps. Cutting down on the salt. Again, it's general bad lifestyles that can cause puffiness under the eyes. So on to treatments and ingredients that can help with these various problems. Now, if it's congestion that's the problem, you have to see a doctor and obviously help to sort your sinuses out and that sort of thing. If it's more fluid under the eyes and fluid retention, again, whether it's genetic or whether it's something you bring on yourself, then really think about staying well hydrated. Massage is another thing that can really, really help if it is fluid retention that's your main problem in the eye area, and lymph, lack of good lymph drainage. So you can either go to someone who does lymph drainage and have them teach you how to do facial lymph drainage, and then you just do it yourself at home. It's a very sort of simple technique. It can just be almost as simple as just sort of pressing and just trying to encourage the lymph to sort of drain. If you think that your lymph glands are situated here in your temple and also here just behind your ears, if you're sort of working towards those sort of areas and then sort of draining away from there. But there are books about it and there's stuff online, so certainly massage, it can help a lot. Another thing that can help a lot. When I certainly do things like red carpet events, and sometimes you have people that have come off flights, they've got that fluid retention because you get really puffed up, don't you, on flights. And I always take these particular things. These are by a French brand called Anne Semenon, and they're little ice cubes that have various things in them. Some of the ingredients is sort of, it has a tightening film, and you take the little ice cube out, and they come in these little gauze pads. Put the ice cube into the pad, and then I like the client to sit up, because then you feel like it's still draining as well. And then I just do almost pressure points with the ice cubes, just keep working out. Now these are really expensive. Now you could easily make them yourself if you got some green tea, because again that's going to be good for stimulating drainage, and just let it cool down. Make quite strong green tea, pour it into an ice tray, and then just buy some gauze from the chemist, cut it into squares. And then if you are someone that suffers with that, particularly in the morning when you get up, just almost pat and press the ice cubes with the green tea just onto the eye area, and it really helps. I did one the other morning on myself as going to Paris really early. I was really puffy, more of a hormonal puffiness, and yeah, I just had one, and when I was in the taxi on the way to the train station, I just did both eyes. By the time I got there, I was could feel them really tightening up, and I looked so much better. So that's quite a nice, easy, simple, and can be very inexpensive way to help with that problem. Now, along with the ice cube trick, I must mention one more thing about the ice cubes. Make sure they're really well wrapped up, because if they're not, they're just too cold and they feel horrible on your eyes. So wrap them a few times in gauze first. Another really old-fashioned cure, but it's for sort of the same reason, is hemorrhoid cream. And you've probably heard of this, old movie stars using it. And again, it's just that idea of tightening up the skin so that the fluid hasn't got anywhere to go. And there's a really interesting hypothesis from Mike Bell at Boots, and he wants me to stress that this is a hypothesis, it's not proven. But I was asking him about why sometimes people say to me, I put loads of eye cream on, I think too much eye cream, and then they wake up really puffy in the morning. And I was saying to him, it obviously happens a lot, and what did he think was the cause of it? Because I thought it was just stopping drainage, and he said no, he didn't really particularly feel it was stopping drainage, but what it was maybe doing was that if you think of a rigid surface, so if you put loads and loads of cream on your skin of any description, any part of your body, it makes the skin a lot more elastic, so it's less rigid in a way. So if you go to bed and you've got loads and loads of cream, too much cream around your eyes, you've plasticized the skin, so you've made the skin very sort of like that. So that when it starts to fill up with fluid, because naturally when you're lying down for so long, you have a lot of fluid in your face, that it just expands more. It's like a balloon, the skin. It sort of stretches. So the more it stretches, the more fluid can flow in and the more puffy you can get. Whereas a rigid surface and something that's not plasticized is going to take a small amount of fluid and no more. So that's certainly a reason for not over creaming. But anyway, it's just a theory. It's not proved. It's just a theory. But I quite liked that idea for explaining why over creaming really can give you more fluid around your eyes at night. So what are the kinds of ingredients and treatments and you can look out for under eye bags? So whether it be fluid induced or fat. Now, the main thing you want to do is keep the structure of the skin strong. So really any care you're giving your under eye area is going to help, especially if you start young. I remember when I was 23 on my 23rd birthday buying an eye cream. It was a rock one, and just starting to use it. And I think that is really good just to start quite young with eye creams. They don't have to be expensive. You can buy a really cheap drugstore one and just use it, and it just keeps that area strong, and it keeps the area, if the skin under your eyes is strong, it also keeps the area flat, and if the area is flat, it's less likely to be saggy and get fat and start to sort of, you know, fill up with fluid and things. So by keeping that really, the connective tissue very, very strong. So anything like peptides, you see them in loads of eye creams, they're going to help. any kind of amino acid. Whey protein is very, very good. I know Clinique use that a lot, and anything that really is going to help with the structure of the skin. So the same that you do with the rest of your face, you look after the structure. Now the under eye area, because it's so thin, you really do need a special cream. You can use heavier creams under the eyes, but as I say, I don't think it's particularly good. And there's also a lot more care taken. The way, when I was talking to the guy at Tom at Clinique, the way they think about their eye creams and the way they're tested, it is very, very different from how they look after their face creams. And it's because this area is tricky, it's so thin, they have to be extra careful for irritants, and also, you know, fragrance and lots of things that don't really affect the rest of the face as much, because it's so susceptible, the skin in that area, to environmental damage, that you really have to be careful what you're using around your eyes. Another good ingredient is hyaluronic acid, and everyone has hyaluronic acid naturally in their body. You have it when you're young, you have it in abundance in your joints to keep everything moving, and as you get older it sort of declines. So it really plumps up the skin and just keeps it youthful and firm, and again, you can find it in drugstore brands as well as expensive brands, so that's a good ingredient. Another big factor is diet, and really hydrating your skin properly, and just generally good diet will make such a big difference to your under eye area. So I know everyone wants to have fun and have a good time, but if you are prone to problems under your eyes, a healthy lifestyle is the first step, seriously. Good diet, hydration, no late nights or not too many, and just generally looking after yourself and protecting your skin in the sun as well. And that also means not drinking loads and loads and loads of coffee. However, that does lead me on to caffeine. Now, caffeine is a really interesting ingredient when it's used in eye creams for puffiness under the eyes and also fat under the eyes. And I was talking to the guy at Clinique again about this, and because I really wanted to know, I know it's in lots of anti-cellulite creams, and there's been loads of research done on the effect it has, but I've always been skeptical, because I think, well, how can it penetrate down to where the fat cells obviously are, and you know, how can that work? And I know that at Clinique they grow fat cells, and they've, you know, by adding caffeine onto it, you can almost see them dissolving in the tray. But I did double check, and I wanted to really find out how it can work in an eye cream on fat under the eyes. And I got this really good quote back. This is from Dr. Tom Mamone, and this is that caffeine is well known to penetrate the skin, and it can travel all the way into the hypodermis where the fat cells live. Richard Guy at the University of Bath in the UK, as well as many other scientists, have published papers regarding this topic. Caffeine does not break up the fat cells, it shifts the cell's metabolism from storing fat to burning fat. So it's not actually breaking up the cells, it's just changing the metabolism of the cells. Therefore, the droplets of fat in the fat cells are reduced and the fat cells shrink. So caffeine is a big, big ingredient, and it's also a soothing ingredient and an anti-irritant. So it's a really great one to look out for in creams, and it's available high-end and also drugstore. I mean, the Garnier roll-on with caffeine is a really good example. I really like this because it offers some concealing, but also it's offering the caffeine. So if you have got the puffiness, and whether it's fat or whether it's fluid, that caffeine is going to have an instant effect on it. The best one from Clinique is the Repair Wear. I know they do other ones, but this is the one I think is good because it contains all the whey proteins and the peptides and the caffeine and everything that you want to sort of have a good general under eye care. So it's going to strengthen the skin, but also help with the other problems. So sorry to go on so much, but you can see that it's such a big area, and it's again an area that I don't think cosmetic companies have done anywhere near enough research on, and I think it's the next big area that we're going to see loads and loads of interesting developments in. But I am going to do a video about covering under eye bags as well, but this is just a kind of intro into maybe what causes them, and maybe some treatments that you can try. So I hope that was helpful, and thanks for watching.